الأنبياء والمرسلين وما بعد. So continuing where we left off with Aqeedatul waasitiyyah, we are on ما يدخل في الإيمان باليوم الآخر, that which is included in Iman in the last day. And the first of those things that I mentioned, ما يكون في القبر, that which will occur in the grave. قال رحمه الله: فصل. ومن الإيمان باليوم الآخر الإيمان بكل ما أخبر به النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم مما يكون بعد الموت، فيؤمنون بفتنة القبر وبعذاب القبر ونعيمه. فأما الفتنة فإن الناس يفتنون في قبورهم، فيقال للرجل: من ربك وما دينك ومن نبيك؟ فيثبت الله الذين آمنوا بالقول الثابت في الحياة الدنيا وفي الآخرة. فيقول المؤمن: ربي الله والإسلام ديني ومحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم نبيي. وأما المرتاب فيقول: ها لا أدري، سمعت الناس يقولون شيئا فقلته. فيضرب بمرزبة من حديد فيصيح صيحة يسمعها كل شيء إلا الإنسان، ولو سمعها الإنسان لصعقه. ثم بعد هذه الفتنة إما نعيم وإما عذاب. So the first topic that it mentions, that it discusses regarding belief in the last day, is that which occurs in the grave. Now, belief in the last day, in summary, هو الإيمان بكل ما سيكون بعد الموت, belief in everything that's going to happen after death, from that which the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has informed us of. Now, of those things is the fitna of the grave, the trial of the grave, and the punishment or the bliss therein. As for the trial, then it's when the two angels, they come, Munkar wa Nakir, and they sit up the deceased in their grave and ask them a number of questions that are known as Usul al-Thalatha, the three fundamental principles. Man Rabbuk, who's your Lord? Wama Dinuk, and what's your religion? Waman Nabiyyuk, and who's your prophet? So it mentions فَيُثَبِّتُ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا بِالْقَوْلِ الثَّابِتِ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ. هذا based on the ayah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that Allah will make firm those who believe with firm statements in this life and in the hereafter. And in the hereafter is mentioned, it means at this point in the grave, when a person is questioned in their grave. فَيَقُولُ الْمُؤْمِنُ, as for the believer, رَبِّي Allah وَالْإِسْلَامُ دِينِي وَمُحَمَّدٌ صَلَى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم نَبِيِّي. The believer will say, my Lord is Allah, and Islam is my religion, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is my prophet. As for the one who has doubt, أما المرتاب, the one that wasn't sure, the one that was doubtful, the one who the Iman was deficient, فهذا يقول, this one will say, I heard people saying something, but I don't know. I heard people saying something, and I said the same thing as them. That person will be hit with a hammer of iron or steel so hard that they will scream a scream that all of the creation other than mankind will be able to hear. And had mankind heard this scream, they would have collapsed. Then after this trial of the questioning is whether they will live in punishment of the grave or in bliss. So the things that we affirm is that we have a Hayatul Barzakhiyah, the life of the grave, We also affirm the test of the grave, fitnatul qabr. And that's when the Prophet, when he went to the janazah and he sat with his companions around the grave of the one who's being buried, as they completed placing the soil, he said, "Istaghfiru li akhikum was'alu Allah lahu al-thabat fa'innahu al-ana yus'al." He mentioned, seek forgiveness for your brother and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make them firm, for indeed they are being tested now, they're being questioned now. And that's why often you find at times people, they give a reminder at the grave. If you're going to give a reminder at the grave, it should be done before the burial is completed. Because once the soil is placed over them, it's the haqq of the mayyit. It's the right of the deceased that you make dua for them. Also, unfortunately, you find some people, they go to the graves now, to the janazah, just to see old faces. And they'll go there laughing and joking and talking. If you've reached that point, then you need to leave. If you go to janazah and you feel comfortable to laugh and joke and talk about everything other than what's happening, that means it's time for you to leave. It's time for you to go. And also rectify your affair of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that your heart has become hard. And that's of the calamities that has befallen mankind. Because kafa bil mawti wa'idha, sufficient is death as an admonishment. But unfortunately, you find today many people, they go there for a reunion of old faces and the likes, and they don't even give the right of the deceased in making dua for them and say Allahumma thabbithu or Allahumma thabbitha, Allahumma thabbithu min the su'al, that we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make them firm in a time of questioning. Also, there's other narration the Prophet mentioned, had he not feared that we would stop burying each other, he would have asked Allah to allow us to hear the punishment of the grave. But the reality is, if we could hear the punishment of the grave, the people would be left like roadkill. No one would want to put them in the grave, knowing what they may experience. But when a person ponders over these descriptions, and scholars have also authored books on this ahwal al-qubur, yani the horrors of the graves and the likes, these works, a person should familiarize themselves with it as a means of installing fear within their heart of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They fear meeting Allah when that time comes to them, and they will not be given the bliss of the grave. Also, when a person is asked these questions, you may know the answers now, but you'll only be able to answer based on the level of iman that you die upon. Because when we are sinning, at that moment we are forgetting these questions. The moment we disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are forgetting about these questions. And if a person finds himself in that state and they die in that state, then Wallahu a'lam idha ajaba am la. Only Allah knows if they will answer or not. So Allah mentions, يُثَبِّتُ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا بِالْقَوْلِ الثَّابِتِ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ. Allah makes firm those who believe with firm speech in this life and in the hereafter. But Allah, He also mentions, وَيُضِلُّ اللَّهُ الظَّالِمِينَ. Allah sends those who are the wrongdoers, the transgressors, the people of shirk astray. Allah will not guide them to that which is correct and make them firm at the time of the question of the grave. They will not be able to answer. But as for the believer, they will answer, and that will be a proof for them, not against them, and they will then enjoy the bliss بإذن الله تعالى, the favors of Allah within the barzakh, within the grave. As for the punishment of the grave, of the thing that is mentioned, أن عذاب القبر نوعين على نوعين. The punishment of the grave is of two types. النوع الأول وهو عذاب دائم. The first type is a constant punishment that doesn't come to an end. It's a punishment that will not come to an end. وهذا للكافر. That's for the disbeliever. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions النار يعرضون عليها غدوا وعشيا. Now, the fire will be presented upon them night and day, all the time. There'll be no time, as I mentioned, وَمَا هُمْ عَنْهَا بِغَائِبِينَ. They will never come away from the punishment. The second type, يعني يكون إلى مدة ثم ينقطع. It will be for a period of time and then it will come to an end. They'll be punished for a period of time and then it will come to an end. And هذا للمؤمن العاصي. This is for the believer that was sinful, that they will be punished for a period of time. They'll be punished for a period of time. Also, was mentioned وقد ينقطع عنه العذاب بسبب دعاء أو صدقة أو استغفار. It mentions that the punishment may stop based upon someone's supplication for them, someone's dua, or someone giving charity on their behalf, or istighfar. Or istighfar, a means of someone seeking forgiveness for them. The hadith mentioned, but it's only got part of it. 1 second. So this is based on a hadith in both Bukhari and Muslim and Abdullah bin Abbas anhuma, that the Prophet ﷺ, he passed by two graves and they were being punished, and he mentioned مر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بحائط من حيطان المدينة أو مكة فسمع صوت إنسانين يعذبان في قبورهما. So the Prophet passed by a place and he heard the sound of two people being punished in their graves. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يعذبان وما يعذبان في كبير. So they're being punished, but they're not being punished for something that is big, i.e. it's not something that's hard to, it's a small thing, but it's a major sin. Small in terms of it's easy to fall into, but it's major in its consequence, major sin. And he mentioned كان أحدهما لا يستتر من بوله. One of them never used to safeguard himself from their urine when they relieved themselves. وكان الآخر يمشي بالنميمة. And as for one of them, he used to walk with namima, he used to go around slandering. Used to go around slandering. Also, when this happened, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he asked for a cane from the date palm tree, so a part of the date palm tree. And he broke it in two halves. So a palm branch. He asked for يعني دعا بجريدة, a palm branch. فكسرها كسرتين, and he broke it into two halves. فوضع على كل قبر منهما كسرة فقيل له يا رسول الله لما فعلت هذا. And when he did it, he said to him, O Messenger of Allah, why did you do that? قال لعله أن يخفف عنهما ما لم تيبسا أو إلى أن ييبسا. He mentions that perhaps it will ease the affair until it dries. Until it dries. Also, the thing that's mentioned in the explanation of this hadith, that it was mentioned in the Prophet ﷺ that he would give tasbih until it dried. Until the date palm branch had dried. That's of the meanings that I mentioned, not that it's the actual date palm itself having an impact, but أنه يسبح ما دام رطبا فيحصل تخفيف ببركة التسبيح. Therefore, as long as it's dry, it's moist, he will make tasbih, and he mentioning and glorifying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and until it dries, that it would be a relief for them. وهذا كان مما يعني من خصائص النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. Now, but from that we learn the affirmation of the punishment of the grave, and sometimes the actions of those who are close to you, such as dua, such as them seeking forgiveness for you, asking Allah to forgive you, and doing sadaqah jari on your behalf. Not how they do it, not the GoFundMe page method. No, not like this. This is not the sunnah. This is not the sunnah. By a person doing some charity on your behalf, gathering close family and the likes to do something on your behalf. But as for the GoFundMe pages, Wallahu ta'ala a'lam, of the major scholars, Sheikh Fawzan, Sheikh Uthaymeen, rahimahullah, Sheikh Muhammad Hisham al-Tahiri, and other than them, mention these are the practices that are to be left off. Also, of the things that are mentioned from Al-Iman, في اليوم الآخر باليوم الآخر القيامة الكبرى وما يجري فيها, the major resurrection and that which will occur therein. And it mentions إلى أن تقوم القيامة الكبرى فتعاد الأرواح إلى الأجساد وتقوم القيامة التي أخبر الله بها في كتابه وعلى لسان رسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم وأجمع عليها المسلمون فيقوم الناس من قبورهم لرب العالمين حفاة عراة غرلا. So it mentions that this will continue, i.e. the punishment or the bliss of the grave will continue until the major resurrection, where the soul shall be returned to their bodies, and the resurrection is as Allah has informed in his book, in the Quran, and on the tongue of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu, and that which is unanimously agreed upon by the Muslims will occur. The people will rise from their graves before Allah barefooted, naked, and uncircumcised, i.e. just as they were in the beginning of their creation. And the day is going to be so severe. Aisha the Anha, she asked the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu, will we see each other naked? And he mentioned, Al-amru ashaddu min dhak. The situation is going to be more severe than that. No one's going to be concerned with another person. If you saw someone walking outside, no clothes on, you'll be shocked. But the day of judgment, you won't even look to the next person next to you, from the horrors and the fear of that day. So these are of the things that are mentioned from the signs of the hereafter, or that which is from the belief in the last day, is that Qiyamah is of two types, Qiyamatul Sughra wa Qiyamatul Kubra. أما القيامة الصغرى فهي الموت. As for the minor resurrection, then that is death. And then as for the major resurrection, that is the establishment of the hour. That is the establishment of the hour, the final hour, where mankind will be expelled from the graves to stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the day of judgment. Allah mentions, زَعَمَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَن لَّن يُبْعَثُوا قُلْ بَلَى, al-ayah in Surah Al-Taghabun. It mentioned that the people, they believed they will not be resurrected. The kuffar, the disbelievers, they said they will not be resurrected. لَتُبْعَثُنَّ ثُمَّ لَتُنَبَّؤُنَّ بِمَا عَمِلْتُمْ. Rather, as Allah mentioned, you're surely going to be resurrected, and then you'll be informed about that which you used to do. That which you do, you'll be informed about this. Now, so on that day of judgment, when everyone stands before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, كما جاء صفة هذا اليوم في القرآن مرارا, يعني كل هذا سيقع. Everything that has come in the description of this day many times repeatedly within the Quran, that is what is going to be the situation. And the establishment of the Qiyamatul Kubra and the nafkha fi sur, in the blowing of the trumpet. Now, as a blow, the trumpet will be blown twice, على الصحيح. الأول لإماطة جميع الخلائق, ثم الثاني لبعثهم للقيامة. And the conditions of the people, how they're going to be resurrected in this state of being naked, barefooted, uncircumcised. هذا ما جاء صحيحا عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في حديث جبريل. في حديث جبريل عليه السلام جاءنا هذا الوصف بما سيحدث للناس في هذا اليوم. We'll stop there inshallah Aqeedatul waasitiyyah inshallah, and next week lessons will this lesson on Wednesdays will continue as I mentioned in Ramadan inshallah, but on the other days will be the other books that we will go through bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. So inshallah we'll stop the lives and then we'll go live again for Bulugh al-Maram. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum.